What to do about portable signs in Oklahoma City has been discussed for months now by city officials. The city ordinance has no real provisions for the signs. There are some different ideas on how the use of portable signs should be regulated. Sign dealers say the signs should be allowed to be up at businesses for 6-month periods, while the Planning Commission wants the signs to be used for just 2 30-day periods a year. The City Council talked about the problem with portable signs sometimes cluttering up streets, but admit they do serve a purpose.
They're not just serving the merchant, they're also serving the people. And it's just the fact that they've abused them, and that's what we're struggling with right now.
The council could never really agree on how to regulate portable signs. Until items like registration, permits, and inspections for portable signs can be worked out, no ordinance will be passed. Officials decided to go back to the drawing board for at least another week. Ed Stewart, Action 4 at City Hall.
You're looking at about $75,000 sitting on the ground. That's right. This pile of wheat, dumped near the General Mills elevator in the community of Bessie, is worth that much. Paul Borcher says he's had to dump the wheat on the ground because his elevator, like many across the state, are filled to capacity.
Railroad thought the harvest was over with, and they took away one switch engine, and they didn't get the cars down here on time to me to fill them up, so we had to go on the ground.
Borchers doesn't feel this has hurt the quality of the wheat. In fact, he says farmers in western Oklahoma want to bring him more of their wheat, but as he put it, I just can't handle it now. He's hoping he'll get some assistance from the railroad before the end of the week. Ben McCain, Action 4, in Ouachita County.
How'd they find out about it?
I don't know.
Employees at the now insolvent Penn Square Bank are working extra long hours this week, helping customers claim their money. After hours and on their lunch breaks, the employees are trying to help themselves find a job, and they're finding out it's not that easy. Those in the lower level jobs have a few options. They can seek employment at another bank or go into a different field. The ones that are really having a tough time are the bank executives. Take a man, for example, who has been a bank officer for 20 years. It's too late to start a new career, and it's not likely he'll find a comparable job. There just aren't that many doors open for the ultra-experienced. Gary Cohen specializes in job placement for bank executives. The picture he's painting for applicants isn't encouraging.
Now, with the type people that are going to be on the market, there's not that many executive level positions available, at least in the local labor market. I think the availability of a position for these people, quite frankly, is going to be out of state. We're going to be able to absorb some of them in Oklahoma and some of them in Oklahoma City, but certainly not the numbers that are going to be available at this time.
Employment specialists say the bank labor market should be back to normal in about 45 days. But they add that just as soon as the one market settles down, another should be becoming dangerously unstable. In about 45 days, oil field employees should find themselves in the unemployment line, all because of the failure of Penn Square Bank. Sherry Sellers, Action 4 at the now insolvent Penn Square Bank. The first statement is from GHK, one of the largest oil companies in the state. It says that on June 30th and July 1st, 4 days before Penn Square went under, the firm removed almost all of its money. According to the company, the transfer was made on the advice of a prominent New York financial institution. An exact amount wasn't given, but reports say the figure was $20 million. Despite the fact that GHK did remove the majority of its funds, an attempt was made to help the bank. Robert Hefner, the company's principal owner, got in touch with several possible investors, but the efforts couldn't keep Penn Square open. Another oil and gas company, the Republic Resources Corporation, tried to remove its money, but not soon enough, evidently. The statement they released says the corporation was given a cashier's check, but it bounced. The check was for well over $1 million. They know they're insured for $100,000, but that still leaves over $1 million to be collected. Republic says they'll do whatever's necessary to regain the balance. The statement stresses that despite the missing million, the company is economically sound.
Banking specialists say these are the first of many public financial statements to come. What's scary is they feel these two companies are in better financial condition to absorb any losses. In other words, there are some companies that may not survive the fall of Penn Square Bank. Sherry Sellers, Action 4.
I'm getting caught. Pretend that you reach me.
The Urban League is committed to secure an equal opportunity for blacks, other minorities, and poor people. Our goals for the future are consistently with our mission and the work that we have done in Oklahoma City in the past.
So he's got to take pictures of something. Might as well be alive. So, how many patients can I treat at a time?
Clean down in here and make, have little, his system is to build up the immune.
Yeah, we've had some stories on him.
She's doing real well on the treatment. She just got back home from the Bahamas. She took an additional 5-week treatment, and it's affecting her real well. She's doing real well under the treatment.
Very cooperative, very cooperative. When did you first? Afternoon. We made initial contact Wednesday afternoon. And then they know us.
Okay, go. This case has been remanded to this court.
A few weeks ago, Special Judge Donald Manning granted custody of a 3-year-old boy and his 2-year-old sister to Oklahoma City attorney Jeannie Bowman and her husband Michael. Jeannie had represented the kids when they were taken away from their parents last month. She had asked Judge Manning to give her custody of the youngsters while she attempted to adopt them.
And I was listening to the father of these children explain why he felt he had to give up his children. And I had a feeling at that time, I know it sounds crazy, and I've never felt this about any other kids in cases before, but I had a feeling that he was talking about my children.
But in the meantime, the State Welfare Department placed the children with another family in northern Oklahoma. The DHS refused to turn the youngsters over to the Bowmans, saying it didn't want to casually take the kids out of their new home. The Welfare Department asked the state Supreme Court to back up its stance, but the High Court refused, sending the case back to Judge Manning. In a session which lasted into the evening, Judge Manning ruled in favor of the Bowmans, and he ordered the children brought before him by 5 o'clock Wednesday afternoon. He says he'll jail DHS attorneys if they refuse his request. Welfare Department lawyers say they'll immediately appeal the judge's ruling to the state Supreme Court. Scott Wallace, Action 4.
The fire was set on the first floor of the 12-story apartment building. Officials know an accelerant was used, but they don't know what kind yet. The motive is unknown, too. No one knows why anyone would want to seriously threaten the lives of nearly 200 mostly elderly people. Last night, officials thought they had a suspect, but today they only have a description.
Well, security guards did see a white female between 5'2" and 5'4", about 25 to 30 years old, wearing a red and white tank top and white shorts, entering and leaving the building at the time the fire was discovered. So arson investigators are looking for that person or anyone having seen that person or knowing who that person would be. We're confident the fire was set very deliberately, and it did imperil the lives of virtually everyone in the building, and would like certainly to find out who did it.
Cooksey says whoever set the fire near the west entrance is probably the same person who wired an electrical current to the east entrance. Those wires were discovered about an hour before the fire broke out, and they were disconnected. Officials are looking for clues in the rubble today. They'd like to solve this one because they say whoever caused the estimated $100,000 in damages was probably out to kill someone. Ted Brown, Action 4.
Oklahoma wheat producers are harvesting what agriculture officials feel will be the largest crop in the state's history. They are predicting a 224 million bushel harvest. Nationwide, farmers are expected to reap the second largest crop on record. So what are we going to do with all this wheat?
The Wheat Commission feels that we need to sign a new long-term agreement with the Soviet Union over the next 3 to 5 years.
A long-term agreement with the Soviets should increase prices Oklahoma farmers are getting for their products. And Frickensmith says they need it.
The average cost of production for an Oklahoma producer at, say, 28 bushels per acre is somewhere around $5.31 per bushel. So, of course, if a farmer is receiving somewhere around $3 to $3.50 per bushel, he's losing somewhere around $1.50 to $2 per bushel.
The Russians need about 40 to 50 million metric tons of wheat each year. The Oklahoma Wheat Commission feels a deal with the Soviets would greatly benefit U.S. producers. Ben McCain, Action 4.
A long time, it's sort of like the story, you know, of the tortoise and the hare. We're sort of in the hare position. We've got a tremendous technology advance, But if we lay down and go to sleep, then somebody that doesn't have the technology that we have, they're going to go ahead and win the race. And there's a tremendous number of countries that are interested in a space program, in developing their own space program. And if America doesn't maintain what they have and continue to forge ahead, then we'll find that we're no longer the leaders in that area.
You talk about the space program paying for itself, and in reality it hasn't cost us a dime. Because if you took out the space program and everything that it has contributed into the American economy would collapse.
Right in here. You'll be able to run like this back.
What we believe at this time is that he got a hold of a 110-volt line and was electrocuted from it. It was also very, very hot up in the attic. It's a very small, cramped space, and so there still remains possibility that he was overcome by heat exhaustion.
Lake rangers and divers called off their search around 3 o'clock Thursday morning and began again at daybreak. The crews are dragging the lake looking for the body of 30-year-old Jeannie Evans, who has been missing since about 10 o'clock Wednesday night. The missing woman and 5 other people were aboard a 21-foot cabin cruiser that collided head-on with a smaller boat carrying 3 people.
Well, from our preliminary investigation, it appears that both boats were underway. One of them operating at somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 to 30 miles per hour based on witnesses' statements. The other one moving at a very slow speed. Both of them with lights on. Physical evidence at this point indicates that both of them had lights on. And based on that, we are continuing our investigation.
In total, 7 people were injured in the accident, plus the 1 missing woman. The more severe injuries were from people aboard the slower boat. Many of the passengers were treated and released from area hospitals. The rest are in good or stable condition. Investigators say another witness has told them the smaller boat may have been airborne before colliding with the cruiser. That might have required a speed greater than 25 to 30 miles an hour. But it will probably be next week before an investigation can be completed and authorities can decide what charges, if any, to file. In the meantime, authorities are focusing their attention on finding the body of Jeannie Evans. Charles Schnitzer, Action 4 at Lake Stanley Draper.
Special effort is going to the front, up along the outside. Graybon, Winkham on the extreme outside. It's a summer in...
Horse racing is probably the most thoroughly policed sport of any sport I know of. That statement was made by John Sellers. And just who is John Sellers? Well, in 1961, the Oklahoma native rode the winning horse in the Kentucky Derby. He rode professionally 23 years. Now he lives in Oklahoma City and is a horse salesman. He scoffs at those who say that the legalization of parimutuel betting on horse races will bring crime to the state.
As all you have to do is just go in and try to apply for a license, and you'll see that. You're fingerprinted, you're photographed, your fingerprints go to Washington, and you are thoroughly researched. And even from the little guy that mucks out the stall all the way up to the $1 million owner. I mean, they are fingerprinted and the whole bit.
And Sellers says even if you are seen or associated with undesirable characters, you can be denied a license. But Reverend Eugene Stockwell disagrees. He says the criminal element is there.
I have led crusades out in states where they do have gambling, like Nevada. I led a layman's crusade out there and realized some of the real problems that they experience in a state like that. And I think this is just the first step in leading in that direction.
Reverend Stockwell and the former jockey disagree, as do thousands of Oklahomans. Whether or not parimutuel betting on horses will be legalized will be decided at the polls September 21st. Ben McCain, Action 4.
I was told by the head of the state health department, the engineer there, that it is safe water at this time, but that it could, with as many particles that are in the water, it could become unsafe. Of course, that leads us to start checking the system twice as often, having a man standing by in the state laboratory to analyze it and feed us back immediately if there's any problems. So far we have found that there has not been any bacteria in the water, that the turbidity or the coloration in the water is going down because we're taking corrective action on it.
She'll probably hide her face.
Gas and oil exploration being a major portion of the economy in our area, we do need an adequate and ample price for gas and for oil both in order to maintain an adequate drilling and development program in our region. So it's kind of a mixed reaction here that these are jobs in our state that need to be kept, so that we do need an adequate incentive to drill for and especially develop supplies of gas.
Well, apparently, from what the witnesses tell me, the engine developed some kind of mechanical difficulties and stalled out in the air, and the pilot brought it down. He's evidently going at pretty slow speed at the time he did hit the ground. Other than that, that's about all I have at this time.
Was the pilot injured?
He's injured, and he's at Mercy Hospital, I believe, at this time.
We would alleviate having any discussion, controversy, argument, or whatever, and move on. I think we've had all we need. That's why I brought it forward, to move it on with our business.
Are appropriated until a contract with
them to that permit. We sort of reserved it for that. But this would eliminate even the reservation.
Right.
I think we should go that as Harris.
Mayor, may
Concern, I know there are sincere, dedicated people on all sides of this issue, and it is one.
We were tacking down a piece of plywood up there for decking, and it slipped, and he slipped and fell upside down like that and hit down on his shoulder, and the plywood that he was nailing was under him when he hit the ground.
Property in Oklahoma must be taxed between 9 and 15%. The tax commission says some counties are taxed more and others not enough. The commission figured the tax rate in all 77 counties, and some counties are not pleased with those figures. A number of county officials argue the figures are not accurate. County commissioners in Oklahoma are protesting the ad valorem plan. They say Oklahoma County's property tax rate was assessed at 8.92%, and that's close enough.
When you consider the possibility of the error factor, we feel like that we're within the 9% that they require. This thing is very untimely also. It's suddenly come up here. We're at the budget process. We need them approved, things of this type. And for this to come up at this particular time is very untimely.
Officials from 39 other counties have also indicated that they intend to protest the tax plan. But Oklahoma County officials indicate that if the tax dispute is not settled within the month, budget problems could arise. Debbie Mash, Action 4 at the county building.
Time to leave now? 5? Okay. Thank you.
it wasn't that bad of a deal because, you know, he took all the precautions to make it safe. You know, roll cage, you know, 4-point, or I don't want to go on the safety aspect of it. It's not epidemic as of yet. It is becoming more familiar with the availability of the driving units themselves. That's what our job is we're not really a Ralph Nader type group, you know, of trying to prevent something like this. We would like for people to use common sense when driving a vehicle, realize that, okay, you know, I have an unrestrained passenger back there, there's a possibility they could be thrown out, so either take alternate transportation or find some way to secure them.